Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth is incredibly difficult to accrue. My mom likes to joke that we come from a long line of people who are bad at money. She always talks about wanting to buy a house so that she has something to leave her kids. I got really sick when I was a kid, and all our money went towards that. I had to leave college because I couldn't afford my next year's tuition, medical bills, and life. It's all so difficult. And then you think about wanting to leave something behind for your kids. Well, how can you leave something behind for your kids when every day you're trying to make sure that your kids have joy and happiness and health and fulfillment today? Every day I'm really concerned about if I'll be able to keep living and making art in this city for myself.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Would you like to see when your favorite Rainier Avenue Radio show comes on? Check out our show schedule, updated weekly at rainieravenue.radio.world.
Hey y'all, this is Dr. Traci Harrell, and what I love the most about today's conversation is MLK, Dr. Martin Luther King. Not just because today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday or the celebration of his birthday, but we are going to be focused on how do we truly create an ongoing conversation about continuing the dream. As most of you know, we celebrated the 60th anniversary of MLK's March on Washington in 2023, in August of 2023. 60 years of him talking about a dream. And when I've shared this with other people, what they've said is, I have a dream too. It's like, great. We all do. We all have a dream. And so what the theme for the country was during MLK's March on Washington, the 60th anniversary of that march, was Dream Unfinished. We said not a commemoration, but this will be a continuation. So the question today is, what are you going to do to continue the dream? So it's about 6:00 p.m. on Pacific time, and I started at 7 a.m., driving up to Tacoma for an MLK breakfast, an annual event. We have organizations that have been doing work supporting the MLK dream for decades, 60 years, 50 years, right? Like, this isn't new. But what I wanted to do, my contribution to the cause, is let's talk today about some of my favorite quotes, some of the quotes you've probably heard, but how do we put them in practice? Like, what does that mean for you and I today? If we're trying to truly live our best lives, and that's what Better Together and Living Powerfully is all about, right? It's the Better Together Empowerment Series, and it's the Living Powerfully experience. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk a little bit about MLK. We're going to share some of his quotes and then talk about how does it connect with this real work that we're doing? How does this connect with helping you to live powerfully? So I'm going to start with my very first quote. And I have to admit, they said this in every, I think I've done like 3 different MLK type ceremonies just today alone. And this quote came up multiple times. It's actually one of my favorite. And that image I love because it is a picture. If you haven't been to the MLK tribute statue, it's not just a statue, but this is the statue in DC, right outside of the African American Museum, the beautiful African American Museum. This is that image. And the quote is, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Persistent and urgent. Urgent means right now. Persistent means it doesn't go away. It's what you should be asking yourself every day. What am I doing for others? Now, that perfectly aligns with this series that we're leading, the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully Experience. That's what I'm doing. I'm contributing what I know is going to help individuals and organizations to truly create the outcomes that we say we want. We say we want to live powerfully. We say we want to be successful, whatever that means to you. We say we want to create an inclusive culture. What we're doing with the Living Powerfully Experience with Positive Intelligence, this is the how. This is how you do it. So this is just one of my most favorite quotes. Is really pause to ask yourself the question, what are you going to do to support others? Now, what I loved about this entire presentation that we pulled together here, you're going to see themes that perfectly align with the Living Powerfully Experience with Positive Intelligence. It perfectly aligns with the work that I'm leading as well. We'll go to the next slide real quick. And what I love about this one, it says forgiveness is not an occasional act. It's a constant attitude. It's how you show up. So when we talk about the Living Powerfully Experience with Positive Intelligence, I like to tell people it's how you show up. We're not saying that, we're definitely not saying that bad things have not happened to you. We're not saying that at all. We're saying forgiveness is how you show up. It's your attitude. And what we go as far with the Living Powerfully Experience with Positive Intelligence, we go as far as to say it's not just an attitude. We have what we call the sage perspective. The perspective is no matter what has happened, even if someone has done something horrible to you, if you can believe that every situation can be turned into a gift or an opportunity, forgiveness is a natural act. It's not just occasional, it's persistent. That's how you show up. I've had some really horrible things happen to me. Literally, when I was getting fired, I was like, oh my God, God said it's bigger than you. I was like, yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. I hugged the person who was laying me off. Thank you. God had already told me I needed to be out of here, right? I was trying to serve, right? So you have to believe in the moment, right? It's a gift. So forgiveness is not just an occasional act. It's a constant attitude. Now, I have to admit, some of the bad things that have happened to me are not nearly like the trauma that happened to people during the time when Dr. King was in the middle of this Civil Rights Act. They had dogs put on them. They were being hosed down with fire hoses that was ripping the bark off of trees. And he forgave those horrible acts and showed up with love. That's good. That's a teacher. That's showing up, right? And I think I have some skills. I really learned a lot with Positive Intelligence. I still don't. I mean, I'm still learning. I consider myself a Sherpa, and I'm really, really good in a number of different ways. But again, that's extraordinary. To have someone hit you, beat you, harm you, physically harm you regularly, knowing that I'm going to stand up for what's right. I'm going to be harmed and I'm going to forgive. Not occasionally, but that is the attitude. I have to believe that when horrible things were happening to me in the corporate space, I was like, they don't know any better. They can't. These are good people and they just don't know any better. Like I had to kind of take that stance. And I thank God for the journey. I'm glad it's happening to me because I'm going to figure out how to make sure this doesn't happen to anyone else. So forgiveness is it's a constant attitude. Now, again, all of these slides are going to have various themes. We're talking about happiness, success, service, love, forgiveness, faith, justice. Those are the things that are really important to me. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So stay with me on this beautiful journey, not just what he said, but how you can put it into action and how it directly relates to the work that we are putting into the universe every day, showing up. So next, what I'd like to share is kind of a theme as well. You know, we call this sage perspective. This idea that every situation can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. That's a perspective that you take. Well, this is one of Dr. King's perspective as well. You know, you heard him talk about darkness cannot drive out darkness. There were people who said, hey, look what they're doing to us. We should take up arms. He's like, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. He also said hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. How beautiful is that perspective? If you just know that I have to lead with love. If that's your baseline, then you don't have to worry about, okay, it doesn't matter, it's this thing or that thing, or right? I'm going to lead with love. So he had a perspective that I'm going to show up the way I'm supposed to show up. He was a pastor, so the way he was divinely meant to show up. And he knew that that was his course of action. That was how he was going to show up regardless. So you didn't have to say, well, what if? He knew love is the only thing that can drive out hate. So you don't hate your enemies, you love them. And guess what? That perfectly aligns with. I get kind of excited. We call that a contagious, it's called the sage contagion. Like if the saboteurs is some negative energy, right? Hate can't drive out hate. Darkness can't drive out darkness, right? That's the, when someone's saboteur, right? The negative, the harmful, the hateful, when that's directed at you, what you can't do, what you should choose not to do is to provide, because it triggers our own, you know, when someone is giving it to you, right? In response, right? You want to give it back. It's kind of how, you know, sometimes it's how, you know, it's by automatic, right? It has been in the past, right? I always talk about that Chris Rock moment when Will Smith walked up and slapped Chris Rock. Now I'm all sagey. I'm all like prayerful. You know, I'm all into this PQ, positive intelligence, but I'm also, you know, a girl from the ghetto. So my immediate reaction might not have been as calm as his. I hope and pray that it was, but I can't, no guarantees. But I do believe that love is the only thing that can drive out hate, right? So you choose how you're going to show up, because I think that's a big victory. That's the big victory. When bad things happen, the victory is, hey, I'm not going to be like you. What did Michelle Obama say? When they go low, you go high. When straight crazy people go crazy, you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pray for you, right? Walk away. Distance yourself if distance is what's necessary for you to stay calm. But if you could just be in joy, be in love, what we do with this positive intelligence, this is another how, because you might be like, Traci, stop. It sounds ridiculous. So let me tell you how it actually works. This isn't just the what to do. This is also how to do it. So positive intelligence, the reason we're putting this into the universe the way we are, because it's like, how do you really do that? So one of the things that we do, which is super powerful, is we decide, not only do we do the saboteur assessment, which helps us to identify the things that will trigger us. You see them and you say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this other thing. So that's one thing. You know, to thine own self be true. So that's important to know what's going to be your trigger. I do have triggers. We all do, right? As humans, we have triggers. So the beautiful part of this, and this is the how you choose love when someone is harming you, how you choose light when the darkness is being poured onto you on a daily basis. You're like, these people hate me, clearly. This is what you do. You actually start with, we have sage super. So the sage perspective is that this situation, this too, can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. So whatever bad thing is happening, you decide in general, this is happening to me. I used to say this is happening to me so I can help someone else in the future, right? So that's one thing. That's the perspective. But then the tools that you get to use, the superpowers that you get to use to actually move through that our empathy, right? So if someone hates you, is harming you, one of the things is to empathize with yourself, meaning it's okay to feel your feelings. No one's saying pretend like it's not happening, right? It's okay. You don't want to spend a lot of time in a pitiful mode, but you can, feel your feelings, whatever that is. I typically leapfrog that a little bit, right? Which isn't the healthiest thing, but being able to decide, I'm going to empathize with myself, right? Because that was something I had to do. Little Tracy used to get bullied all the time, right? And I found myself experiencing corporate bullies. Like, hey, wait a minute, this isn't fair either, right? So how do you deal with that, right? There's a way. You empathize, right? Empathize with yourself. This thing is happening, but you also empathize with the other person. If they're horrible and doing horrible things, right? I would say, they just don't know any better. These are good people and they really just don't know any better. So I'm empathizing that, we could show them the way they would do better. Right now that I have a way with positive intelligence and my work, transformational, inclusive leadership, and some of the other things that we're doing, now that we have a very clear path, I'm ready to go back in the game and help other people who are having similar experiences. So that's part of what I'm doing. This is my how. But when you empathize with yourself and with the other person, so there's several ways, right? Some they don't know any better and they may know exactly what they're doing. You may be like, nope, that's not the case. Then you also can look at yourself as a young girl and look at them as a young person. Lord, what I wonder what they had to endure. What would make them so horrible, right? And have empathy for, like, picture them as a 5-year-old and them being abused. And like, if you think about people that are part of the Ku Klux Klan, for example, they were raised that way. Somebody told them horrible things about other people, and that's all they know. Imagine that poor little child wanting to have a little friend. You know what I mean? Like, you could make up stories that allow you to have empathy for that individual, for that person, even for that organization. They all crazy. They all don't know any better, right? Like, you can have empathy. The other so that's number one. The second superpower is this concept of innovate, right? So you can make up, create, explore. Actually, excuse me. It's empathy and then it's explore. So you can ask questions. Hey, what am I missing here? So explore means you're going to be like a curious anthropologist. You just want to ask questions, no judgment, but I need some additional information here. So someone's harming you. It feels like they're harming you. And in their mind, they're like, hey, I'm just blah, 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 blah. Maybe you wouldn't know their perspective unless you pause, took away any judgment that you have. Because again, judge is the number one saboteur for all of us. So you'd have to come back to that situation and say, okay, let me see if I can disconnect from the judge. Let's see if I can really focus on asking some questions that might help me really understand this person a little bit better. That's the explore superpower. So it's empathy, then it's explore, then it's innovate. Explore is just, I just needed more information. I just want to understand this more, right? No judgment, just want to understand. Then you have innovate. Innovate goes back to the original sage perspective that if this, and everything, every situation can be turned into a gift or an opportunity, then I'm going to innovate. What kind of gifts, right? We've talked about the gifts, the KPIs, right? The gift of knowledge, the gift of power, the gift of perspective, the gift of information. That's the KPI, the initials. Information, the gifts of insights, right? Like those are some of the initial first easiest things that typically come out. I'm going to learn something from this, right? That's the gift of knowledge. I'm going to be more insightful the next time something like this comes up. I'm going to be, right, more powerful. I'm learning some skills here, right? Next time. So that's how you can think about whatever situation is happening. What gift? Explore some questions. Innovate. Like, what are the gifts? What could be some positive things that can come out of this? Then you want to navigate. Navigate is the fourth of the superpowers. And the reason I like navigate is because he decided he was going to love. He was a preacher, right? So he decided, I'm going to lead with love. God has given me a Bible, which gives me some prescriptions about how I'm supposed to show up in the world. That is my value. These are my values. So I'm not going to deviate from that no matter what happens. So that's the navigate. So if you're having a question, okay, like, how do I make this make sense in my head, right? And again, you're being harmed. I want to make sure there's a lot of horrible things happening in this world. So I'm spending a little extra time on this one. A lot of horrible things are happening in this world right now. So this is the KPIs. This is how you can think about what knowledge, what power, what perspective, what information, what insights might come out of this situation for you and for those people who are also being affected. Right? There's always something. That's the explore, that's the innovate. Like, be innovative. Think about yes and. Yep, that could be it. And this. Yes and that. That's one of the exercises that you would use. Yes and maybe this. Yes and maybe that. So no idea is out of bounds. Right? You can play that with other people. You can do it by yourself. Right? You can write it down and come back and write some more later. Yes and I guess this could. Yes and I guess this could be it too. You're not judging the opportunities or the ideas. You're just saying, I guess this could be a gift. Right. And with that new perspective that there could be something positive that comes out of this horrible thing, darkness, there's some light that can come out of it, because I am the light. You are the light. You just have to choose that is the perspective that you're going to bring to it. Even if you don't even know what it is, just say something good is going to come out of this. I believe that. Right. It's scientific. Remember, we said this is all based on science. The neuroscience, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral psychology, and performance science, 4 deeply researched types of science that would say, if you believe a thing, that something good is going to come out of it, it will. And then you'll show up differently to the situation, more creative, more positive. You're able to activate in a way that you couldn't, right? If you thought, oh Lord, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. No, woe is me, right? You're not going to be creative. It's just not. You got now the wrong side of your brain being activated. That saboteurs are saying, oh Lord, here we go. You're spending time on hate. That means you can't be creative. You can't find positive when you're in the negative space, right? So that's why this says darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate either. Only love can do that. So that kind of goes back to, again, let me give you the last. It goes back to the saboteurs, right? And the sage. It goes back to the perspective that you choose. So I mentioned there's 5 superpowers, right? There was that empathize. We said explore, innovate, navigate. And the last one is activate. Then you decide, what am I going to do? What am I going to now do based on this? If you believe that love, you're going to lead with love. Now your action is going to be linked to if you think about number 4 was navigate. If he is saying, I have some principles that I'm going to follow, then you can look forward. If you don't know what to do in the moment, decide, okay, let me think about what I want this story to be. How do I want people to tell this story about me? How do I want to have shown up in the midst of shenanigans? 1 week from now, 1 month from now, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, on my deathbed, how do I want to have shown up? That's what navigate means. It's like if you still have a question after empathizing, after exploring, asking some questions without judgment, after innovating, trying to figure out what gift might be in it. Now you're navigating. You're saying, hey, based on my personal values, based on what I want to, how I want to show up in the world, what would be best for me? Talk to senior Traci. I talk to young Traci a lot. Now I'm talking to older Traci. What would older Traci want me to do in this moment? How is this going to show up best for me when the book is written about this particular story? What do I want to do? So that is the how, right? So this quote is super powerful, but if you're like, really? Hopefully that was helpful on how do you get there? That's how you do it, right? We have real tools that you can practice on how to truly lead with love. Yay. Okay. So the next beautiful quote from MLK, he says, I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of the difficulties and the frustration of the moment, I still have a dream. Despite the shenanigans, despite the difficulties, despite the challenges, I still have a dream. Despite the frustrations, somebody shows up to you, they call you and you're like, oh, here we go. Despite all of that, I still have a dream. So it's almost like you have to decide, what is your dream? What is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? We call that a quest. What is your quest? I'm on a quest. I'm on a wellness quest, right? I'm also on a quest to help others. That's why I'm volunteering my time to do this every week, every day. Like I show up for other people all the time. My company is called It's All Bigger Than Me because it's all bigger than me. Like God said, dude, he's giving me a gift. He's giving me some skills. I'm going to show up for y'all, whether you ready to accept this or not, because these videos will be super powerful for somebody. They'll be like, oh, okay. Now I see. Right? I realize I'm a little bit ahead of my times. It's okay. So it's for some people are ready. I'm working with some people who are very ready. And I really want to work with people who are ready to truly move to the next level. So this is basically saying, despite the shenanigans, I still have a dream. I still believe. Now, listen, check out this next quote. Again, we talked about happiness and faith, but the surest way to be happy is to seek happiness for others. Surest way is to seek happiness for others. Not that you can't be happy yourself, but if there's any confusion about what you're doing and what your next step should be, and right, we're walking, we can only take one step at a time. When you know what you're doing is going to bring joy to others, it's going to bring happiness to other people. Kind of back to that first quote, the one about, right, anyone can serve. Anyone can be great because anyone can serve. That's about seeking happiness for others. I love it, right? Okay. So our next quote. I love this one. We're going to go deep on this one. So it says everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And so what does great mean to you? Feel good, be on purpose, supporting others, doing what you were meant to do to support others, and not just crazy people that are doing you harm in general. Like who doesn't want to leave a legacy for the next generation? I know that is one of my driving forces. God has blessed me with so much energy, so much information, so much clarity around activations. I know this is what I was meant to do. So much courage. I'm going to show up regardless. I'm not afraid of anything at this point. Not at all. I think he stroked me out last year, y'all. So I wasn't even afraid of death. I don't want to die. But I was so close that I'm like, well, I better show up and put it all into the universe. I better do this kind of stuff on a regular basis, right? So everyone can be great because everyone can serve. I know we have to take a break. We're going to come back to this one. We're going to go even deeper on this concept of service. And let me just say one thing. What I love most about MLK is he's a guide. We're providing a guide. He's a Sherpa. A Sherpa is like a guide who takes you up a mountain. So this is about, are you ready for your mountaintop experience? Stay with us, y'all, right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. More to come.
I'm Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not deep frying a turducken in a closed garage, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
I think this project and really this community has pushed us as a company and definitely me personally on what this work can look like and what we can do.
Says Patrick McGoughlin, Senior Project Manager at Lydig Construction. Lydig Construction is making an effort to make that dream a common reality for communities of color. Through their work with Seattle Public Schools and programs like ANEW, they're working to create opportunities for individuals to have successful and fruitful careers in construction.
The sense of pride of like walking by and being like, oh yeah, I did that. Like I built that, or I had a hand in building that. I think that is an awesome feeling.
Says Rainey Kendall, first period apprentice at Lydig Construction. Meanwhile, former Seattle School Board Director Betty Patu says,
our kids deserve a new building because they come and they study hard as they can. And a lot of times we throw things at them thinking that's not that important. But when they see this building, that tells them you are very important to this community.
If you're looking for a new career and you think construction might be for you, you can visit buildthebeachforusbyus.com to learn more and hear about the program.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
Generational wealth Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
When I think about generational wealth, I think about history. I think about the history of exploitation, of what led us to today. Some people live a certain socioeconomic way, and the majority does not get to live in that same way. Perhaps they don't want to live that way. I don't know.
Generational wealth has some really strong positives and some really strong negatives. At its best, it's ways that communities can grow, find security for themselves. It's a way to make sure that your children and their children and each generation thereafter has opportunities to find joy and growth and make a difference in the world.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Y'all, I love this. What we know is with the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully Experience, this is about how do we show up in community. And the one thing we know about one of my favorite people, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is that everyone can be great. Everyone can be great because everyone can serve. Now, go to the next slide, because what I love about that is we go a little deeper. Not only did he say that everyone can be great because everyone can serve, he went on to say, you don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. All you need to serve is a heart full of grace and a soul that's generated by love. Isn't that beautiful? All you need is a heart full of grace and a soul that's generated with love. Y'all, he's talking about love and grace. And we can serve. We can contribute to the lives of others. I love this so much. Anyone can serve. Everybody can be great because everyone can serve. I'm going to get through some more of these wonderful quotes that perfectly align with what we are doing here with the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully Experience. Now, the next quote from MLK is that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. That's deep, right? Our lives begin to end as soon as we decide, you know what, I'm gonna sit on the sidelines. There is no practice. Like life, we are all in the game, y'all, and this is a playoff. Every day is the playoffs because you're not promised another chance at practice. So assume that practice was what you did when you were in grade school. Assume practice is what you had an opportunity to do when you were younger. But today is the day that you got to take seriously, that you got to be all in, that you have to assume, what if, one of the things we talk about with the Living Powerfully Experience and with positive intelligence is like, show up like today was your last day. Not like you're going to spend every dollar you have, but show up like you want it to be remembered. Show up like you want to contribute to the lives of others. Show up because you know you want to leave a legacy. Show up and do the things that it's going to take for you to be courageous today and say something that maybe someone else wouldn't say. But God gave you the courage to say, to be the one to step up, to show up. That's what this means. Our lives begin to end the day we start to become silent about the things that matter, that truly matter. I love this. I love y'all. I'm living my very best life because I show up, listen, every day, knowing that I'm like, I know I'm not promised tomorrow. Thank you, Lord, for the stroke last Christmas. I can say that with joy in my heart. Thank you for reminding me I am not promised tomorrow. That's why I show up and give. That's why I do what I do right here for free on Rainier Avenue Radio. That's why we're giving $1,000 scholarships out to people, paying people literally to do this work, paying people to say, look, I know I can help you. Here's how we want to do it. So do you want to live a life of true courage, of true purpose? Are you ready to live a legacy? That means show up, y'all. There is no practice. It's game time. Game time. I love it. Dr. King has so many wonderful quotes. Let's look at the next one. Faith, y'all. Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. Whether you're going up or down, right? Taking the next step. When you don't see the whole staircase, people often talk about like lily pads across the stream. Taking a step onto the one lily pad. First of all, I'm a big girl, so that makes me nervous. Right? Lily pad, really? So I'm gonna go with this staircase concept. So if you think about a lighthouse, being on a quest, you don't get enough light to show you the whole way. You get enough light to show you the next step. And when you have the faith to take that step, then you're gonna see. Say you only have a 5-mile radius or a 5-foot radius. You take a step, then you can see the next 5 feet. Take one step, then you can see the next 5 feet. If you do that every day, did one thing every day, just one. That is the secret to this living powerfully experience. It's so perfectly aligned to this. Whether your faith is in something spiritual or your faith is in the science behind neuroscience of the brain, if your faith is in the science behind positive psychology, meaning it's been researched, it's scientifically proven. Do one thing that's going to move towards your quest every day. Every day. Just one little baby thing. Not all the things. One little step. Even when you don't know what's next. But if you can see, he's going to show, you're going to have visibility and clarity about the immediate next thing. Even just using the 5 superpowers I was talking about, right? The empathy, the explore, the innovate, the navigate, and then activate. Activate is a step. Take that one step. I don't know what to do. Yes, you do. Do those things and you'll know. Reach out to me, Tracy. Right? We got you. Read the book, Positive Intelligence. There's all kind of resources out there, y'all. So let's keep moving. Faith is about taking that next step, even when you don't know. And that's really what, it's like a secret that ain't a secret. It's like, you guys remember the book, The Secret? Which is, exceptional. Didn't have all the secrets, but it had some really good information about showing up, the law of attraction, all that stuff. But this is also about you believing that the next step is clear. I'm going to take that step. And the next step is going to be revealed to me. But it's not until you have taken that first step that you're going to see the next step. So those of us who kick back, waiting for everything to be clear, stop. Not if you want 2024 to be your best year yet. No, it's the one step, the one thing, and show up next week and then tell us about that one thing you did and how that moved you forward. And then next week, do another thing. 52 beautiful things. Week after week after week, you will be there. Way closer than you ever have been before, sitting back waiting for the whole story to be revealed. Hello, this is the secret. This is the how. These quotes are long-standing over all these decades because they're so valuable. I just want to make sure y'all are clear what it actually means. It means do a thing, one thing each day toward your goal, toward your quest, toward your dream. One thing. And you don't need to know how. Just believe that it is for you. And take one step and watch it just continue to unfold. Not beautiful. I love it. Okay. Dr. King, what else you got for us today? Okay, this next quote. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. This is beautiful. A little scary too. Meaning the people the haters. What did the guy say today? We were in an MLK event at the University of Washington, and he described haters. And I think it was something like they hate haters. They hate everyone who's trying everything, who's really achieving real success, right? Whatever it was like, we don't care about those people. We don't care about the haters. The haters are gonna hate. But those friends who don't speak up, that's what really hurts. So are you one of those friends? You got some people who might be going through some things that maybe you haven't reached out to for a while, or maybe they've told you something and you're kind of like, I'm gonna stay out of that one, right? Just remember this quote. I think it's beautiful. We don't remember the words of the haters, our enemies. We it's the silence of our friends, people that say they're for us. Be about it, people. Don't just talk about it. Be about it. I love that. Okay, next quote. We must accept finite disappointment, but we never have to lose infinite hope. Meaning things aren't going to happen that are not going to end the way you had hoped they were. We can accept that. Things are not going to always work out the way you had hoped. But if you can believe that the next step is going to work out, you got a 50-50 chance of just doing it, right? Just, hey, I believe most times things work out for me. I believe all the time things work out for me. So I just got to get to the next step to see what that working out is going to look like, right? But I never lose hope. That's what this is about. No matter what disappointment happens, right? You must never lose hope. That should be an endless supply of hope, because you believe. Back to the perspective, I believe everything is going to work out for me. King is genius. So many of these quotes aren't just for the books. They're for your life. Check out this next one. Oh, I love this so much. Our lives. Oh, we actually touched this on already, but I'll say it again. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Did you see his face? I put this one in because I was just like, look. Most of the images I put of him were very positive. But this particular one, he's like, look, know that this is about making sure you show up fully for yourself. And for our lives begin to end. Do you understand how deep that is? Several of these I actually did repeat because I wanted to emphasize them. This is one of them. You'll see 3 more. The ones about service I love too. Okay, we'll keep going. Whew, check this one out, y'all. This was a quote I loved. He said, whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. So when he said we can all be great because we can all serve the greater good. He talked about humankind. You know, what I love about the presentation that we saw earlier today, it was an MLK presentation. The speaker talked about justice. MLK did not talk about justice for Black people. He said, I want justice for everyone. When I talk about inclusion, I don't talk about inclusion for Black people. I'm like, look, this is inclusion for all. Do you want an inclusive culture where everyone can thrive? Sure, it's going to benefit us, but if you're doing it right, it's going to benefit everyone. So this really is important. There is a connectivity to this thing called life. If you show up, know that you're going to show up not only for yourself, but if you're doing it right, you're showing up for others. Did I tell you that my company is called It's All Bigger Than Me? There's a song that's by Leandra Johnson called Bigger Than Me. Y'all, it's so beautiful. Look it up. It's so beautiful. Okay, we'll keep moving. God, I can't believe how fast this hour is gone. Whew, I love this too. This is one of the younger images of MLK, but he said the moral arc of the universe bends at the elbow of justice. There's a lot more to this quote, but bottom line, he's trying to say, at the end of the day, circling back to what we call the sage perspective, at the end of the day, everything will work out for my good. That's biblical. What we say with the sage perspective is that every situation and every circumstance can be turned into a gift or an opportunity. Right, the arc of justice, which means, at the end of the day, it's going to come back, right? The universe is just designed for good things to happen. Positive intelligence, if you believe that, positive psychology, if you believe that, performance science, if you believe that, neuroscience, if you believe that, whatever you believe is what comes true. I believe this too. So you decide, what do you believe? It's going to come back your way, always. And I believe it will come back my way so fast, I don't even get time to have negative stuff happens to me. And I got some horrible things that have happened to me. Y'all, did I tell you I was hit by a drunk driver? Totaled my car. I've been suffering from PTSD. Got zero, like horrible, like a horrible person. And then they lied and said like horrible things. And it's like, you know what? It always works out. I don't even worry about it. Someone's like, I can't believe you didn't sue. You know what? If I was meant to get money that way, it would have come and I wouldn't have had no problems. Clearly, that was not meant to be how I was going to make my $1 million this year. So I'm going to leave that alone. Things always work out. That was horrible. I've had horrible things happen to me, y'all. Seriously. And I'm like, you know what? It's always going to work out for my good. It always is. I believe that. So if I believe that, then I don't waste time in shenanigans, harming, wanting to get back. No, it's okay. God's got me. His eye is on the sparrow, y'all. If his eye is on the sparrow, I know he's watching me. But it's also scientific. Again, that's spiritual. But it's also scientific. If you believe it, it's true. Okay, we'll go. We'll keep moving. God, this is going so fast. Okay, Dr. Martin Luther King. Courage is an inner resolution to go forward despite obstacles. We talk a lot about courage and service and really showing up. It was like, I've decided I'm going to do, like, I was put on this earth to do this work around the Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully experience, period. Right? It's only gotten better and better because God is like, hey, I'm pouring people into your life that I think are going to help you on this journey. But courage is saying, I'm going to do it regardless of what obstacles come up and show up. We'll talk a little bit more about courage. We'll keep moving. Thank you so much. I love that quote. They talked a lot about courage in the sessions that we've had that I've gone to over the years, and even today, that the word courage came up numerous times. He talked about legacy and courage. Go back real quick to that last quote about freedom. So the last quote is, freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. Now, what I love about this is, in a number of ways, I've talked to many people about what the Living Powerfully experience is, right? It is about us creating true optimization in our lives, improved performance, well-being, all those things. Also improving your teams, improving your organizations, and leading to truly and creating organizations that create an inclusive culture and to communities where inclusion and belonging is just kind of how we roll, because we now have a new foundation around what success looks like. I spent 25 years in the corporate space, people working with amazing people doing some horrible things, not even realizing how horrible the outcomes were, not even knowing how to fix it. Now I can show up and be like, let me tell you what you could do differently in the future. This is it. Like, we got it. Ding, 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 right? So people aren't necessarily going to want to change. And so I don't want to work for you. If you ain't ready for change, honestly, right now, I don't really want to work for you. But this is saying freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressor. We are basically saying, if you want to be one of those organizations that people want to work for, you want to be an employer of choice, then we got some things for you that we call the Living Powerfully experience with positive intelligence. We call transformational inclusive leadership. It is absolutely transformational. We got several authors and individuals and coaches. It's amazing. So we're ready to do this work with you, but we only want to work with people that are ready to actually do the work, right? So, we're going to put it out there. We're bringing some pastors in to be like, hey, you said you were going to do this. So we're Washington Employers for Racial Equity. They talked about some of the things that we're going to do. We're going to spend $2 billion over 5 years. I'm sure they're doing some great work. We're going to create a space for them to talk about it, for them to level up, show up, and there's some great stuff happening. I know there is, but I don't think community may not be aware. So we're going to create a space for them to talk about it, but we're also going to say, hey, and if you really want to get to the next level, here's another way that you can do that. Like, tell us what you're doing, tell us what's working, so everybody is aware of what's working, so we can have the greatest impact, right? That's this. I just wanted to keep this in because it does take us to the next level. It goes deeper than just you changing as an individual. You do have to start with yourself, right? But know that you impact that ripple effect. You impact your team, you impact your organization, you impact the community, and we can truly change the world. Are y'all ready to change the world? Only the people that are ready, let's go. If you're not ready, sit on the sidelines and just watch us do what we do, right? It is about to change. Okay. Next. What I love about this next quote, it says, true peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. So meaning it is okay to decide that I want some better outcome for the future. True peace is saying, yeah, I want to do this thing. I want to help people get better, but I actually want true justice. I want to create a space where my nieces and daughters don't have to have experiences like I had when I was in the corporate space. Right. These are the systems are designed to maintain the status quo. So we haven't done enough work to change systems yet, y'all. We really haven't. We talked about it. We've done some good stuff. We got some examples. We got some mentors. But what if you don't have a mentor? Then what? Like, how do you create a space so that no matter who you are, whatever little mentorship that you've been able to get, that there's just a grounding. We have a new groundwork around what justice looks like. That's inclusion. That's justice. That's different outcomes. I could go on, but I'm short on time. So let's keep going. Moving. Sorry. We must come to see that the end we seek is a society at peace with itself, a society that can live with its conscience. Keep moving. I love that. Okay, we must use time creatively in the knowledge that the time is always right to do right. So this is about doing the right thing. Back to courage, back to showing up, back to being intentional. The time is always right to do right. So we got to be creative. I don't have time. I don't have this stuff. I don't have that. You do. Pause. Remember empathy. Explore. Innovate. Navigate. Activate. You got plenty of time to do that. You can have to do all of them. You can just do one and get you what you need. But it's always the right time to do the right thing. Always. Yes, sir. Next one. Life's most persistent. Again, I'm going to start. What time do we officially end? I put this in again because I just wanted to clarify. I thought this might be the timing of the end, but thank you. 57. Gotcha. Got 6 minutes. Okay. So life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So I thought I would be able to circle back by the end of the show to be able to remind you, this is how we started. One of my favorite quotes. It's persistent and urgent, right? What are you doing for others? So this concept of MLK, right? We said that the theme for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 60th anniversary of the March on Washington, the I Have a Dream speech, the 60th anniversary, the theme was Dream Unfinished. Dream unfinished. Not a commemoration, but a continuation. This is how we continue the dream. So the question is, what are you going to do to continue the dream? And it may not be his dream. What are you going to do to continue your dream? What is your quest? What is the thing that you're going to do? And what are you going to do to help others? As you go on your journey, what are you going to do? Y'all, I'm on a wellness journey. Let me be clear what I'm going to do. Let me lay out what I'm going to do. I'm going to show up here each week, right? I'm going to take whatever topics are timely. And I'm also going to share my own personal journey. Like, I'm on a weight loss journey, a wellness journey. I've already lost 33 pounds from my highest. I know, it's exciting. And I'm just thinking differently. Right? I've decided some things differently. We're going to go a little deeper into that in our upcoming shows, but it's not about wellness by itself, right? This is about how do we show up for each other? How do we show up for ourselves? So I feel like I got to have my own deep journey before I start helping other people, right? So what can you do for others? That is so true. Right now, what are you going to do for you? And then I had to pause to say, what am I going to do for me that's going to be able to support others on their journey? I got to do the work too. We all have to do the work. Okay, we're going to go to the next quote. Let's see how many we can get in before we have to end. It's 6:53 and we said 6:57, so I think I got 2 more minutes. So let's show what the next quote is, if we could. Okay, yes. See what our last quote is. Oh, there was no more in the deck? I ended it. Oh, sorry. Oh, so I did make this the last quote. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so back to this concept of what are we going to do to truly show up, not only for ourselves, but for others. So what I'm going to do is, again, it's 2024. What we decided is that this can be your best, your most successful, your most powerful year yet. My email is traci@itsallbiggerthanme.com, right? Our website is seattleblackmba.org and itsallbiggerthanme.com. And those organizations are creating a space for you to live your best life. And again, Rainier Avenue Radio, you see the Venmo up here. I'm not selling anything. Everything I'm doing is giving away for free, but they're allowing us to show up for you And we're not charging y'all anything. We're just giving you this program, giving you this content for free. And Rainier Avenue Radio is allowing me to show up here, right? So I love the song. I think you'll play that for us here in a second. But Rainier Avenue Radio, y'all. We're going to be back next week with Better Together Empowerment Series and the Living Powerfully Experience. And we're going to show up inviting you to do exactly what you dream for 2024. So come with the dream, and then imagine that each time we show up, we're going to be giving you nuggets on what you can do to achieve that dream. So right now, as you prepare for next week, think about one thing you're going to do to move forward on your dream. Remember how last week we talked about vision? We talked about vision boards, being very clear on your vision. Make sure you're clear. What is your vision? What do you want to accomplish in your life? MLK just gave us a whole series of quotes. We just talked about how we can activate exactly what you want in your life, y'all. So this right here is your moment where you get to pause and decide, what do I want to accomplish in 2024? What do I want to accomplish? Be clear. Have a clear vision. See it, dream it, think about it, percolate on it, and then do one thing, just one baby step every day. Just one thing. What I'm doing is I'm drinking water. I'm taking some supplements. When I say I'm drinking water, I have my water right here. I'm drinking water in my little wine glasses. Makes me feel good. I'm taking vitamins, supplements. I'm also working out. So I'm doing all the things, y'all. That's my wellness journey. But I'm also showing up for you, y'all. We're formalizing the next community that we're going to take on this journey. So if you're interested, again, know that we're going to keep coming here week after week after week, showing you that it's so much better when we do this together. This is the empowerment series, and the Living Powerfully Experience is the how. So what we're doing is we're showing up for you. How we're doing it? Right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Stay with us, y'all. And what I can promise you is it works if you work it. Stay with us. More to come.